We'll start. Okay, leave. Hello everyone. Pleasure to welcome you here at the first demo day of Fuelarts, the accelerator empowering Art+Tech startups. My name is Denis Belkevich. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Fuelarts. After its launch in fall 2019, me and the co-founder of Fuelarts, Roxanna Zarnegar, have faced with the pandemic that affected all the businesses and spheres of our life. And our accelerator, in fact, had to reinvent its approach to educating startups, working with the 4 Art+Tech startups in private acceleration mode in the last 18 months. So together we're holding a hand on the pulse of the art world. And during the pandemic, we're trying to find the market fit on the changing art market. So our digital demo day presents the result of this extensive work. Well, and finally, we're grateful to our investors, both institutional and art strategists, who funded us in summer 2021 and made the demo day happen, and all the operations that are waiting Fuelarts beyond. So our today's venue is held in partnership with Amadeo Global Venture Capital Fund and FMoney, a financial initiative for female investors. Not to mention, there would be another big event held today. Facebook has announced that it changes its brand name. The name is still kept in secret, so don't be surprised if it will be Fuelarts as well. So the four pitches will be preceded by a 30-minute panel devoted to the status of Art+Tech and its investment attractiveness and opportunities. Not to mention the famous NFT trend, which attracts the attention of many of today's guests. So to begin with, as a result of pandemic, the world, both art world and financial world, understood that business models must be flexible and able to move with ease between the physical and virtual worlds. During the pandemic, digital art and transparency of transactions simplified logistics. They helped keep collectors' attention and maintain deal flow. And according to our research of Fuelarts, in 2020-21, the Art+Tech sphere received nearly 60% of the industry's total investment over the last 2 decades, which equals to a bit more than $500 million, including the investment made to Fuelarts, of course. So startups and their technologies were bought out by the market's heavyweights, large sellers, and venture capitalists. The Deloitte Art and Finance Report 2021, published 3 days ago, has defined technologies as catalyst to reduce investment risk and increase transparency. Saying simple, from now on, art and technology will develop together as industries in a symbiotic relationship. So I'd like to present my co-moderator of the panel, Katya Kohen, managing partner of Amadeo and investment partner of Fuelarts. Hi, Katya.
Hi, guys. Good morning to those who are on the East Coast. Good afternoon to everyone in Europe, wherever you're watching it.
Thank you from Europe.
Yes, very happy to have you here. Obviously, we have huge interest from the crowd about this panel, about this demo day. We've been getting messages nonstop. I'm sure there are a bunch of people watching this now live, and I'm sure there will be a lot more watching it later. The reason why we're here today to discuss not only art, the traditional meaning of it, but also the tech sexy side of it. And you, as the experts from the industry, will bring lots of value to this topic. I think there are 2 reasons, and I'll introduce myself real quick, 2 reasons why it's sexy these days. Well, I'm based here in New York City. I've been in the venture space for the past, I would say, 7 years. I've raised 4 funds, invested in over 100 startups across different verticals, art, including art. generated at least 35% IRR for my investors. And, art, basically for us as the venture capitalists and investors, we always look for that alpha, right? And make sure that we put our investors' money to work. So, based on my background, art is interesting. Historically, the traditional art, as you see myself, I love traditional art and not only, but historically, there are two reasons, right, why we're here today and what we'll discuss. Art investments in art historically would generate, I would say, 3 to 5% IRR. From the Art+Tech perspective, from the VC side of it, the returns for investors could be above 25% IRR, right? And that will be part of our conversation today. So those investors who are watching this today, keep watching because there's a lot of alpha here, and we'll present interesting startups that could generate that alpha. And obviously, there is a second side of that: retail investors, those who have been pumping trillions, and those retail investors who can't find, certain alpha and the equity market. So because it could be overpriced, overvalued right now. So they're looking for other places to put their cash to work. And art and Art+Tech specifically these days is quite a sexy place and could generate that alpha for retail investors as well. With that said, I would love to turn the table and ask each of you to introduce yourself. Since we'll have startups pitching later, my request would be please come up with an elevator pitch. Try to make it like 1 or 2 minute intro. Just to understand how startups feel and to be in their shoes. All right. So
been there, done that.
Great. Great. So, well, then we'll start with Natasha. You seem to be the most ready one. Natasha, please introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into questions after we make the first round of interest. Thank you.
Sure. My pleasure. So yes, my name is Natasha Tanneur, and back in my start of my career in the startup world,
Sorry, I just want to take the floor for 1 second. I'm going to get out of this meeting. Nobody told me that this would be the setting of the whole thing. Nobody told me this was public, so I'm getting out. Good luck, bye guys. Can you get me out of this meeting?
All right. Also, what happens in the startup world? Lots of unexpected moments.
Yep, that happens. But anyways, yeah. Natasha, let's move on. You have an interesting background and career. Would love to hear about it.
Thank you. So yes, let's see. I have about over 15 years experience in the art and startup world. I did not think that's how I was going to start out. So I started out getting a master's in art history with Christie's Education in London, though I'm originally from New York, but from a very varied background. So it was an amazing experience to study, particularly with Christie's, because I really wanted to have an experience that was a bit more hands-on instead of just theory and a little bit veering towards the business side of the art world. So I always knew I wanted to go to the business side, but I really thought I was going to go into the auction world afterwards, after graduating. And instead, I came back to New York, and I was very quickly snatched up as an unpaid intern. Because back in those days, when you had a master's or a PhD, you had to be an unpaid intern first. And this is what I did. And I was very lucky that...
it's all of us.
Yeah, exactly. Story of everyone who starts out, I think, in the art world. And after 4 months, that turned into becoming the director at Arterium and being part of a team of 3 people only before there was really even a product. And we were just getting the product started. We had 1 in-house developer and 1 in-house UI UX designer. And at the helm was Boris Pevsner, the CEO, and me. And it was kind of an amazing time because I had never thought I was going to go into the startup world. And then poof, I was like Googling, how do you create iPhone, iPad apps? And that's how I actually started, just dropped into the water. So it was a lot of fun. It was a time where everything was kind of new. iPad came out, I think, after I was working for about a year. So, we were one of the first people going to galleries and saying, this iPad thing is going to be really great as a sales tool. And they were like, what is this? It's like a phone, but bigger. I don't think so. So it was kind of an amazing process to go from being like the first people to talk about this burgeoning technology to being like, it was amazing because we were the first, and everybody kept saying, oh, well, maybe we'll go talk to them because they were the first ones telling us back a couple months ago that iPad was a big thing. And so that really kind of helped us. It was an amazing time. So after an incredible 6-year run at Arterium, that's when we started the process of being able to go ahead with the buyout, which was a long process. Also with Christie's, I was very lucky that being part of the sort of Christie's family, as it were, by being a graduate from there, I got sort of invited in a little bit easier to go through a lengthy process to begin to show what our product could do, understand what their needs were, see what our competitors were doing, watch their clients use our system and a competitor system at the same time, learn how that whole process goes in terms of videotaping a collector, maybe a slightly older collector who's not super tech friendly using your product and seeing where they stumble and fall. And it was an incredible ride. And we were lucky enough that we were able to get a successful buyout, and what an incredible experience. So after that, went on to ArtNet, where I absolutely worked with Roxanna, and had a fabulous time being in New York. And I mean, Rox is like this legendary person. So it was like, oh, I'm going to get to work with this legendary person, because essentially she poached me from Collector, which was awesome. And it was fantastic. And I got to be director of fulfillment and see the other end of what I was working with, because director of fulfillment was really all about seeing the sales process after the gavel goes down. So seeing, how do you fulfill a sale? What happens after you win a sale on the internet? Is it all smooth sailing from there? How do you affect payment? How do you deal with shipping? How do you deal with shipping errors? How do you deal with that entire process? And applying that whole sort of eBay, Amazon sale process to the art world is a very interesting process that comes with its own pitfalls and its own issues. So that was really fascinating. And because I was in that process, trying to figure out how we could use technology to make payments a lot easier and more automated, this is what gave me the idea for ArtPaie. And in interesting timing, my fabulous then boyfriend, now husband, proposed to me. So I moved from New York to Paris. And this is why I wasn't able to continue with ArtNet, but it was for like the best of reasons. So they were lovely and gracious. And Jacob, the CEO, said, go do your project as your own startup. We don't actually want to be entirely mired in that. So we'll be like your first clients if you go do that. I thought, oh, that's a good idea. And then I went off to go do my own startup. But of course, very different doing that in Europe. So
very different.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting experience becoming incorporated within France and then also within the US. It's a very different process. I'm not a French citizen, as it were, yet. So it's a very interesting process, learning how to not only just get around payments, but how it's like to be a startup in France, in Europe. And it's a very different experience. I've had to really switch how I speak. There's a way in which you speak to investors in the US that is not how you would speak to French investors or to European investors as a whole. So you really have to learn the cultural differences when you're a startup that's working on a more global platform, about how you even venture the idea of how much investment funds you're looking for, all that. So put all that together, and there's my 15 years of experience. And
it's almost 2-minute pitch, a little bit more, but
there we go. I did my best.
Nice try. Thank you, Roxanna. Well, you have to know.
I'm gonna make it really short. Natasha's life is much more interesting than mine.
Oh, please,
so I'll just take this much. So look, former COO of Christie's Auction House of the Americas, actually youngest female COO in the 200-year history. I do have to, and that's just for all the girls out there,
Absolutely.
Definitely all the girls
opening the doors for us.
Hopefully. Then went on to Senior Vice President of ArtNet Auctions with Natasha. We actually redesigned and re-engineered the platform and added some pretty catalysmic tools that increased our sales and revenue in 1 year by 33%. We sold the Kusama online for $300,000, first time ever. And also won an honorary Webby for our design. So, good to see you, Natasha. It's been a while. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then went on after ArtNet to become a full-time professor at Parsons School of Design Strategies and Management in their master's program, which I'm currently teaching now. Did 2 years at Sotheby's Institute, which I found was the inspiration for me to start talking to Denis and start developing a disruptive model for the education process in the art world. Like Natasha, I started at Christie's thinking I would do one thing and then realized that the art world actually is an ecosystem that involves a lot of other subsidiary businesses that make it breathe and run on a day-to-day basis that have nothing to do with the actual buy-sell transaction. And if you look at the model of the art world, the buy-sell transaction is only this much. And the rest of the world consists of about 15 different sub-businesses that all need disruption. So when I realized that, which was an alarming moment at Sotheby's Institute, I realized that neither Sotheby's nor Christie's would ever be able to build something that kind of looks at all the other business models. So I started writing a white paper. Then I got a call from Denis, who said, go to Staten Island and get your visa. Was it Staten Island? No, Coney Island. Get your visa and come to Russia and speak at a collector's summit. And I said, well, who would say no to that? So got my visa, flew to Russia in April of 2019, met Denis, and had the wonderful pleasure of watching him organize what I thought was one of the most complex events to organize. And prior to my Christie's and art days, I was COO of the Olympic Games for 3 Olympic Games under a logistics sponsor. So watching someone organize an event of that complexity really impressed me. And I knew that Fuelarts had to sit somewhere. So I approached him and asked him if he was interested. And fast forward, a pandemic happened, which I think was a silver lining, because Denis, I always debated with Denis on whether we should do this in person or not. And I think this actually worked out nicer. And so I have to honestly take the rest of my time to say, Denis, you have done a fantastic job keeping this idea I had 3 years ago alive. Thank you. Thank you for owning it, running it, and being a great leader. I'm always here for you. Currently, I'm an Art+Tech investor and a mentor and a strategic advisor to Art+Tech platforms that are there to disrupt the art world. Heading to London next week. And I see that Louise is in the house. So I just need to give a shout out to Louise Hamlin, who's another great innovator in the art world. I'm looking forward to seeing Louise in 3D next week, and, really open to seeing what we can do in the new art world.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Roxanna. And I think, Denis, your turn to introduce yourself, and then we'll kick it off for panel conversation.
I would say the best introduction of me should be split between what Roxanna has said and what will the startups will say during their pitches. So I'm in between. I believe it's much more interesting for our audience, which is quite big right now, to hear the replies of our speakers to the questions we created.
Amazing. Let's kick off with the first question.
Sure. Roxanna, and it comes from what you have been talking about earlier. So today, the art world is witnessing a generational shift. The silent generation, the main buyers for decades, are being replaced by millennials and Gen Z with new money, including crypto. So those new collectors, they combine an investors' acumen with the desire for transparency and fun. But today, the physical worlds of art and the digital world are like two separate planets, each with its own inhabitants, values, and codes of conduct. So, from your perspective, how easily these two worlds could merge, and what are the instruments to support that process besides Fuelarts?
I think number one, a passion to make the art world a better place. Period. You have to be in this for that reason. And number two, to look at the existing businesses that are out there that are trying really hard to do better and to support them. A quick example is art finance. You know, I've been heavily involved in understanding where art finance started and where it's ended up. That is a part of the art world that hasn't changed since the 1970s. So without going into too much detail, the opportunities are there. The tools are already in place. They just need some revision and updating, and a great smile on your face, and the you know, the leadership or the gumption to go out there and try it. So the tools really are out there. You have to be resourceful and you have to be brave, because the art world is a wonderful place, but I believe in the next 10 years, it could be an unbelievably incredible place.
Thank you for
Great.
that. I actually have a next question for Natasha. You know, you mentioned that you sold your startup, Collectrum, for almost 20 million to Christie's, which was one of the most successful exits in the industry. How would you describe any challenges that startups face these days? And I would say the additional second question is, what do you think are requirements from investors in Art+Tech? Like, what is that you've seen in between, I don't know, 10 years ago and right now, the moment, right? Like what changed?
Sure, yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting actually, because I think in a weird way, I feel that I'm seeing some very similar things to what I experienced a while back, because of course, I went through the period of the crash, the Damien Hirst crash, as it was referred to. I actually did a short course with Sotheby's Institute in London right before I came back to New York, and I was doing their art business short course. So I actually went to the Damien Hirst auction, and as I'm watching things just go for insane amounts, I'm getting texts from my friends who are working in finance, like, oh my God, everything is about to absolutely implode. Like, you need to really think about this. And I'm thinking, oh, that sounds a bit ominous. What's going on here? So, you know, it was a strange but also really informative experience to create a startup right during the time of a huge economic crash. We were very worried we weren't going to get any investment. You know, we were very lucky that Boris came in with a certain amount of investment on his own, because he had a previous startup that sold called Xfire, that was about multiplayer gaming, that had sold quite well. And so he had enough funds to sort of carry us through before we found a lot of other investors. Which I think, unfortunately or fortunately, is very similar to what's going on right now because of the pandemic. So the pandemic kind of created the same sort of moment where everything sort of freezes for a second, everyone gets a little nervous. At the same time, you know, investors always come back in when they start to see a trend or an opportunity. And I think that's the beautiful part, is right after a little dip like that, which I think we're already seeing now, you know, from talking to other startups and talking to investors, and just, you know, listening to people, my family already, who are trying to invest in art themselves. You know, it's why you see NFTs and other things having an uptick right now, is because there's always a renaissance after a crash. And already I think we can see the view of the renaissance is coming into clear picture right now. So yeah, I would say that it's very similar actually to the time that I went through right before Collectrum really took off, where we were still trying to get off the ground during a crash. And then in terms of sale, you know, I mean, buyouts are always very difficult. I mean, we have this wonderful, you know, title of being the best buyout in the startup world. But, you know, it was a 6-year process. It does not happen overnight. I think startups have to remember that. And it's all about showing, you know, what kind of long-term value you can provide to the person that's buying you out, right? To the group that's buying you out. I think that there are a lot more art startups that are poised in a really good space now more than ever, because there are more companies instead of just your standard bricks and mortar auction houses that are getting more interested in potentially partnering or doing a buyout with art startups. So I think that's really what has changed a lot since my time. In my time, it was really just who's going to buy us. It's going to have to be a collector themselves that just is very eccentric and wants to buy us out, or an auction house. We were really like in two groups there. And I think now it's a lot more expanded. So yeah.
And what do you think in terms of investors' behavior? Like
investor behavior. Well, I think what's really interesting is that back in my day with Collectorium, there was much more education I was having to do all around. Education in terms of the technology to investors, and then education in terms of the art world to the business guys. So, you know, there was always a business investor, advisor that I was having to speak to when I was talking to individual investors. And then, you know, even in terms of talking to the CTO over at Christie's, you have to switch tack then. So you're describing the art world more to the tech guy, you're describing, you know, the technology to the business guy. I feel like that has gotten a little bit better though. It's really impressive to me how many investors are very up on what's going on with NFTs, on what's going on with cryptocurrency in general, on what's going on with blockchain. So there's a little less of me having to come in and say like, okay, well here, let me explain the entire art market, and let me also explain the entire business market at the same time. So that's, I think, kind of nice for art startups, that I see you can pull on the fact that more investors are aware of the art world, but also the technical digital side of the art world, which is new. That wasn't always the case.
That's great.
Good. So Katya, you started a very interesting topic, and Natasha told you about her experience, I mean, her previous experience. But today, art strategists, I mean, top auction houses and dealers have made a considerable investment contribution to Art+Tech, I mean, during pandemic. For instance, Covella Galleries invested, by rumors, more than 10 million in Foundation app and NFT marketplace. Recently, Sotheby's purchased a 20 million stake in an NFT production company to create its own metaverse. And along with the art strategists, we see an increase of institutional and VC investors' excitement towards Art+Tech. Let's say Masterworks platform, offering fractional ownership of art, received a 110 million investment this fall in round A. By the way, led by Left Lane Capital, an institutional investor. So the question to both of you, but please, let's start with Roxanna. How could you comment on the big money interest towards Art+Tech now?
I mean, I think from 7 years ago until now, Art+Tech has taken the lens and zoomed out away from building marketplaces and looked at all the other different facets. I hope that continues. I think the greatest misconception that people outside the art world have is that the entire revenue stream comes from a buy and sell, which is absolutely incorrect. That is actually the most cost-heavy part of the art world ecosystem. And all of the other subsidiary businesses kind of carry that. And the more we focus on the subsidiary businesses like Arta is doing and Adam Fields, or what Natasha is doing or what Louise is doing, the more we're going to understand how to change it. So I think what big money can do is look at all of the subsidiary industries that actually keep the art world afloat. Instead of focusing on building a metaverse, which is not even 15 years away, why don't you focus on building smart contracts, or fixing art finance, or storage services can be elaborated to much more than just putting your art in a crate and saving it for 15 years. What else can we do with that? Opportunity zones. How can opportunity zones support a neighborhood that's growing and insert people within the neighborhood to love and enjoy art instead of just storing it and hiding it away? So, I mean, I can go on, but big money needs to stop focusing on the metaverse and selling the piece and actually enjoying the piece, because in essence, the art world is one big logistics business with one transaction of a buy and sell. And everyone is focused on building a marketplace. Waste of time. Christie's and Sotheby's do it great. Don't need another one. but think of all the peripheral businesses that Christie's and Sotheby's don't do great, and support that.
Thank you, Roxana. I felt myself like sitting on your lecture again. That were the best lectures at Sotheby's Institute of Art. But nowadays, I'm proud having you as a co-founder and a board member, which is much more important and valuable for our business. Natasha, what could you add, please?
Oh my gosh, I mean, she's spot on, you know, as per usual. Yeah, I think here's the thing. I mean, I think most people forget, because even with like the new NFT craze, I'll just touch on that very quickly, that a lot of people have started out with like NFT, you know, sales platforms and things like that. It's a bit of a rage right now. And I do wish that investors would remember that while, I mean, you can have tons of marketplaces. I don't think there's a problem with that, especially like niche marketplaces. If you want to have a marketplace that's dedicated to a very specific type of art, that's fabulous, so that it can kind of take down some of the visual overload that a lot of collectors can feel. So when you have like one marketplace that's selling too much, sometimes it gets to be a little too heavy, and it's, you know, you get visualed out. And so I think that's great to have niche marketplaces. There's a space for that. But I would say that, you know, Rox is completely correct. Most people ignore that the real meat and potatoes of the industry is what happens between the sale, at the end of the sale, around the sale, the getting the work from one place to another. Where does it sit? If you have a marketplace, are you going to be like a bricks and mortar where you buy that work in? Do you own that work and then you're selling it? If not, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to trust that third-party seller has the correct item. I mean, these are all things you have to think about, in the same way that, you know, Airbnb has to think about this, the same way that eBay has to think about this. You know, but it can be a dirty word sometimes in the art world to think about logistics and not just the, you know, the glamorized beauty of just the artist and the purity of selling the artwork. You know, but unfortunately, or fortunately, you know, because it's fabulous to see a great artwork that you love, but it's even more fabulous to have it delivered correctly, to have it framed properly, to have it not break, to have it keep its value, to have it insured. These are things you got to think about, you know. So it's like a child, you know. You don't just have a kid and then, oh, all right, that's it. You know, you got to think about all the accoutrements that come with that. So people have to think about it. Art, you know, it's your baby. So you got to think about all the different industries that can go around that and service it well.
Speaking of babies, almost babies, tech investors pump millions into NFTs, obviously, NFT startups, and as a digital collectibles boom. So what is your perspective? Because I see a bunch of investors running around like chickens going crazy about NFTs. What's your perspective? And I think that's the question for both of you. And that would be the last question, unless there are more questions from the audience. And then we'll move to the pitches.
Well, why don't I go first, since mine's going to be provocative, and then Natasha can always put a nice rainbow around it.
Amazing.
I love it.
Shoot straight forward, Roxanna.
I love it. Go for it.
I think the NFT technology for the art world is absolutely fascinating. I was speaking to someone on CNBC the other day. I wasn't on CNBC. He works for them, and he's a watch collector. And he used NFTs to track his provenance of his watches when he sold them. Now, that's an interesting way of looking at NFTs. What do I think about buying a work of, well, let me refrain. What do I think about creating an NFT? I think it's super cool. I would definitely have everyone try to create an NFT at least once in their life. I would definitely play around in the NFT market. But, and this is to the new generation that keeps saying, oh, you're killing our planet, you're killing our planet. There is no ESG model in the NFT world. So instead of blaming the previous generation, stop making millions of dollars on a cartoon and figure out how to add ESG to the model, and then I'll invest in it. Otherwise, all you're doing is you're doing the same thing that we did, and you're just as guilty as us. Natasha, could you make that prettier?
and sparkles on top. sugar coat.
I mean, yeah, you know, I have to agree with you. Yeah, you're right. You know, yes. Okay. So what are, I think, the pitfalls of the NFT, you know, market, that it's, it got a huge cost to the environment for sure. I think the other pitfall for it is that some people are going to be a little worried that it's going to be a bit of a fad and that it's eventually going to kind of fizzle out. That's a valid concern as well, for sure. I think two things. One, Roxanna is essentially correct that, we have to think about how do, the environmental impact of NFT is a much larger question that isn't like specific to our industry even, and that, people have to take into consideration the same way that we're taking into consideration that like electric cars aren't always the best for the environment, because how are you producing electricity? Nothing is a fix-all. Everything is interconnected these days. So we have to think in a more interconnected way about how to solve these things. So that's my pretty answer for for Roxanna's point of view there, which I totally agree with. My other thought with NFT is that I find it fascinating, just to give you a little bit of European perspective on NFT, to let you know that it is actually taking off here in France. I think most people thought that it wouldn't take off in Europe as a whole, or in France especially, because France is very risk averse. But it's actually taking off completely. And, I have an incredible example of my husband, who's the head of finance at WWF, so World Wildlife Fund here in France. And they just had a collector who decided the way he wanted to donate to WWF is that he wanted to buy an NFT version of the little panda icon that represents the fund. And I was shocked to hear this, but I thought, all right, more proof this is really taken off in France. This is a French investor. Yeah. So, it is something that I think will stick around for a while because, there's always something incredibly, I think, especially after the pandemic, we all have this idea that there are ways in which we want to enjoy artwork that is just through the internet and where it's very traceable. So yes, like applying NFTs to watch collecting, to lots of traditional forms of collecting is obviously going to come into play the same way that we knew this was going to happen once blockchain came on the scene. Like obviously blockchain has all these amazing applications in the art world in terms of tracking and tracing. So obviously this is going to stay around for a while. So it's all about how do we use it best? How do we be most responsible with it? How do we, get it to serve us well?
How do we take care of that baby? I'll wrap up with that comment. Thank you, ladies, so much. Denis, we have amazing panelists, but we also have amazing female founders that are coming up next. And Denis, I'll let you.
3 female founders and 1 male founder.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, right. 4 female founders, because one startup has 2 female founders. And only 1 startup. I wanted to proceed with the following, that regarding NFTs, 2 of the 4 startups of the first batch have already made a pivot and are dealing with NFTs. The 3rd startup is hesitating.
Early baby.
Yes.
And the first one still doesn't know that that's his destiny to become an NFT art market game. So
he doesn't know it yet. All right.
Yes. So that's how we're shifting to the presentation decks. I would ask you to, as the mentors of Fuelarts, to listen attentively and to don't hesitate asking them questions.
Provocative questions as investors.
Yes.
Grill them.
Provocative questions, which would make them thrilling. But from the other hand, again, thank you for a brilliant panel and for your replies. Before I introduce the startups and we start the second part of the demo day, I'd like to introduce the mentors of the first batch who made this happen. So first of all, proud to introduce Katya Kohen and Olga Fried. They were responsible for general mentorship and business modeling. Besides managing FMoney, they also, and Amadeo, respectively, they are also mentoring at 500 startups, Mass Challenge, Free, and Techstars. So market fit and UX UI was mentored by Denis Setiawan. Maria Saveleva was responsible for go-to-market strategy. Financial modeling was done by Diego Berrio and Terry Choi from Amadeo Global and the 13 Ventures. Thank you, guys. Tech and blockchain were split by Tim Kompanченко and Peter Wojnicki, our tech mentors. And of course, our today's panelists have made a great contribution. Roxanna, Zarnegar, Natasha, Tanneur, and Nanne Dekking, who had his own reason to leave. So they were responsible for art market fit and networking. And not to mention the Fuelarts stuff, Sonia Stubblebine, the project manager, Nastasia Mamantova, assistant manager and coordinator, and our SMM intern, Lola. Thank you, guys. And also, yeah, the last thing is the design team. So our art director, Alexei Kokhanov from Ukraine, and our video production manager, Yana Barkova from Moscow, Russia. Thank you, everyone.
I feel like in the real movie, you know, before it starts.
The credits are real.
Exactly.
But it's very important to give credit where credit is due. I think that's great.
So with that said, thanks a lot, Denis. Let's open the floor to and watch the real movie.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So the first startup I would like to welcome to our Fuelarts Demo Day stage is Arterium and Pavel Rabchevsky.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Pavel Rabchevsky, founder of Arterium, NFT portfolio and index app. One of the main trends of 2021 was boom of the NFT market. A typical collector has NFT works from different platforms. In this situation, he doesn't have a clear understanding of the state and value of his NFT collection. Arterium is the NFT platform to aggregate your NFT collection in one place. Also, Arterium is the index that presents current valuation of your NFT collection. So, you receive credible information to sell your assets at the right time and maximize your profit. By connecting his wallet to Arterium, collector can see all NFT works that were purchased at different platforms on one screen. The process is easy and convenient. If collector use crypto wallets like MetaMask, the connection is done with only one click. In other case, collector can put his wallet's addresses manually, and all his NFTs will be presented in his full portfolio. We don't transfer, store, or own NFTs. We only collect information from blockchain. Arterium shows health history, provenance of each NFT piece, and index that is based on social and market activity of each artist. In 2021, NFT market is estimated around $5 billion. The number of NFT collectors has rapidly increased since 2019 and continues to grow daily. Our initial idea was to tokenize physical art, but with the boom of the NFT market, we decided to focus on NFT portfolio. We're discussing a partnership with digital registry Artory for NFT provenance and marketplace blockchain.art for transaction data. Now we're in the process of creating MVP, and we are planning to release public version of the platform in 2022. Our business model is freemium subscription with monthly fee of $9.99. Our team is already complete. I have more than 20 years of experience in IT sector, from implementing electronic declaration system in Russia to business development IT startups such as Bank, Pastry, Hash Rating, Atom Market, Easy Business Community, and others. Maria Saveleva is our Chief Marketing Officer with 10 years of experience in digital marketing. Piotr Wojnicki is our IT advisor with 15 years of experience in IT and blockchain. Our art finance advisor, Denis Belkevich, is an art economist with 12 years of experience. We're happy to introduce our mentors. Natasha Tanneur, go-to-market strategist. She sold her collection management startup Arterium to Christie for $17 million in 2016. Nanne Dekking helped us with art market fit. His startup Artory is a blockchain-based provenance tool. Igor Avdonin is an expert in scaling business to global markets. The NFT index is our secret sauce because we believe that information and trading signals are key to success. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pavel.
Done.
Thank you for your brilliant deck. So,
Thank you.
who has the question towards Pavel?
I do.
Roxanna, please.
Pavel, really great idea. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Beautiful presentation. Could you elaborate a bit more on some of your strategic partnerships? Are you currently negotiating? What are you targeting as strategic partnerships, and who's on board now, aside from Artory?
Thank you so much for your question, Roxanna. We're negotiating with Artory and blockchain.art on the technical partnership that will lead to mutual benefits for both parties. For instance, Artory have introduced the unique NFT provenance tool. It's like a digital certificate to improve and secure NFTs. Using the Artory data, we will have additional information about users' NFTs and show it to our customers. Through our app, collectors can check if their NFTs are secured by Artory, and if not yet, order the certificate from them. In return, Arterium would provide the NFT indexes for customers of Artory. And the most important, it's our free marketing channel for user execution. As for NFT marketplace blockchain.art, we're going to test data mining with their platform and track the trade transactions. It's not my first startup, and I know. And at the moment, early adopters and customers are of most importance for us. Artory and blockchain.art have thousands of customers, and we hope that these two collaborations will enrich the client database of Arterium. And thank you so much for your question, Roxanna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pavel. I'd like to add, you've mentioned blockchain.art. We've just received a message from the founder, Christina Steinbrecher. She wishes us good luck. She wishes you good luck. And I also proud to say that recently Christina received $400,000 of investment from the Bay Area, from the institutional investor. So that also shows that the interest of institutional investors towards Art+Tech is great, and you've chosen the right persons for even possible cooperation. Thank you, Christina. And yeah, do we have the other questions, or we are out of timing?
No, I'm going to be the bad cop today. We're moving to the next
Thank
presentation.
You so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Pavel.
Thank you so much, Pavel.
Okay, I'm happy to present you the second startup with their deck, Fuelarts, which is a bit. I'm proud to say that I'm also original Ukrainian, as the founders of Fuelarts. So Fuelarts from Ukraine, who have already showed a good traction, being released 1 year ago at Apple Store and Google Play. The rest, Anastasia will tell us.
Yeah, thank you, Denis. Good day, everyone. I'm Anastasia Glebova, CEO and co-founder of Fuelarts, platform to exhibit, sell, and collect digital art. and we make art digitalization easy. In March this year, we all woke up in the new reality. A reality where this amazing digital artwork was for the first time sold for $69 million. And this moment was when the digital art became a headline in all the media outlets worldwide. But even though the cases are getting bigger and the market has reached a $2.7 billion growth this year, even if you have paid multi-million check for the artwork you like, it still does not mean that you are fully protected. Legal cases and the questions of liquidity is what arise more and more on the market. And therefore, a $2.7 billion market now faces a problem with a lack of liquidity, where art buyers do not have solutions to manage the digital artworks and the intellectual property rights to them, while a new niche of, let's say, physical art market professionals such as galleries and museums find the entrance to this digital revolution more and more complicated and costly. Therefore, the VR strategy lies in bridging the digital and physical art markets, and therefore helping a $50 billion art industry to get closer to the digital asset industry. VR is a platform where you can exhibit, sell, and collect digital art. We provide a whole ecosystem of immersive digital spaces combined with digital authenticity solutions, and of course the marketplace, where you can buy both digital and digitized art in the form of NFT or a license, where you can get the intellectual property rights to the artwork to both enjoy and deploy your art as a real digital asset. Our business model is built on two main parts. Of course, as a main revenue stream is a marketplace commissions, both from primary market and the secondary one for NFTs and licenses, as well as a supporting subscription system, which help us to acquire clients and extend their LTVs while providing them with our technology for virtual exhibition, which combines 3D, AR, and VR technologies, and is now represented both on our mobile application and web platform, with the whole system of digital authenticity solutions, with a unique system of licenses and the digital certification, which helps you to track not only the history of transactions, but also the provenance of the artwork in a convenient way in the real-time basis. Starting in March 2020, we have achieved pretty a lot. We have over 6,000 active app users from 78 countries and over 100,000 visitors to the web platform. We got selected as the winners of the Creative Business Investor Pitch this year by Creative Business Network, and we're exhibiting at Katya, which is the biggest global art fair. We have received investments and grants, and just the last month, we hit the MRR of $17,000. So what is next? The next step for us is, of course, to enhance the marketplace, the beta of which was launched just the last month. We also will represent VR at the Web Summit via Beta Starter program, raise a pre-seed round by the end of the year, and enter the metaverse with our strategic partner DSL Collection. For the next year, we have even bigger plans to introduce the multi-blockchain solution to address an even bigger audience and provide an automated certification, reach a point of sales, and reach the seed round by the end of the year. Our team has it all. We combine the expertise and background in the fields of art, IT, and art and finance. But what is even more unique for the sphere mostly ruled by tech startups, we have two of our co-founders are IP lawyers, and who if not we know how to manage the IP rights in the sphere. And even though here you can see just 5 of our co-founders, there are 19 more wonderful people who help us to build this extensive ecosystem globally. We are also strengthened by a board of experienced advisors, whose many years of experience on the global art market help us to make our product truly market fit. So what I want you to remember, that VR combines NFTs with intellectual property rights management, and therefore provides 11 new ways to monetize digital art, except for NFTs. We are united by an ambitious goal to bridge the digital and physical art markets. And I'm looking forward to your questions.
Well, thank you, Anastasia. Ambitious goal, ambitious questions. So who will be so ambitious to ask the question to ambitious VR?
Sure, I'd love to ask a question. So well done, by the way. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Very lovely. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on how you're building out the ecosystem that you touched upon in the presentation?
So basically, the VR ecosystem is built on three main kind of key points. First of all is what we have started with when we pivoted when the pandemic was kind of outbreaking. We had to answer the question, what to do with digital art, how to deploy it, how to interact with it, like what stays behind buying a JPEG, video art, and so on. So first step is, of course, our virtual exhibition technology, where you can create your own virtual space, you can lease it, you can get it via subscription so that you can make your art available anytime and anywhere for people already from 78 countries, just from their devices. We also have the system of embedded modules, so it can be presented both on our platforms or embedded into the gallery site, museums, public, private collections, and so on. Second part is, of course, the marketplace, where we sell both NFTs, and this requires a system of licenses, a certain amount of intellectual property rights to them. Basically, it provides you with the rights to use art further after buying for commercial, non-commercial purposes, creative, or exclusive. And the last but not the least is, of course, the digital authenticity system, which consists of the system of licenses and a unique way to certify art. Because the main reason why this lack of liquidity happens is that only the history of transactions is getting recorded. And when we talk about art, and that's what we are doing here today, we all know that not only the transaction is what makes art valuable, is what makes it liquid as an asset. That's also highly important to track all other different types of events, including exhibitions. And that's where the system of licenses comes hand in hand, because you can do it all automatically and track this provenance history in the real-time basis.
Great.
Amazing. The bad cup is on. We're out of time, so we have to move to the next presentation. Natasha, thanks a lot. It was very nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia. I'm happy to welcome before I will introduce the third startup, I should say that several hours prior to our demo day, we received a lot of emails from our friends, from our colleagues from the art market, from our partners, who were wishing us luck, and to the organizers of Fuelarts, to its board members, and to the panelists, and to the startups. So along with Christina Steinbrecher from blockchain.art, we also received a letter from Adriano Piccinatti di Torcello, the head of Deloitte Art and Finance Luxembourg, who was presenting his brilliant Art and Finance report, global report, 3 days ago. Thank you, Adriano. And startups, I send the words of, I send your hi to the startups. And also Anders Peterson from Art+Tech London, the co-creator of the Deloitte Art and Finance report, is watching us from Rome, Italy. So from well-deserved rest. Thank you, Anders. And we're moving on. And the third startup is, the idea of the third startup could have emerged only during some crazy times. But the idea is really disruptive. It's barter between art and goods and services. I'm happy to welcome Ksenia Zaitseva and Fresh or Trash.
So hello, everyone. Hello, my name is Ksenia Zaitseva. I'm the founder of Fresh or Trash startup. It's a barter platform to exchange goods and services for art. The coronavirus pandemic ranks among the most disruptive events in the modern history and the financial disaster for many. We learned to spend less and waste less. In 2020, consumers went online to find affordable goods and services. People became local, price-sensitive, focusing more on saving. While staying at home, art buyers got interested in art marketplaces to minimize costs and agent fees. At the same time, artists also went online for additional self-promotion. So both sides shared a problem: how to reach each other easily. We believe Fresh or Trash is a solution. It's a barter platform that unites art buyers and artists. It navigates art buyers to gain good quality art. It also helps artists to promote their artworks and to find new clients. The platform is powered by machine learning algorithm that facilitates barters. It allows forming customized selections based on demand history. It provides selections and even predicting outcomes. General and domestic pandemic shifts reflected on generations' values and purposes. Gen Z is the audience we are interested in. With spending power of $143 billion, these young adults are the powerful consumers bloc, and they seek meaningful experiences and connections in their lives. According to Art Basel and UBS Art Market Report 2020, Gen Zs are mostly interested in affordable art. More than 1 billion of new art lovers appeared while pandemic. At the same time, 2020 was challenging for artists. 98% of newly created artworks remained unsold. So, Fresh or Trash is a customer-to-customer platform that helps to make the better barter choices. Fresh or Trash provides the transaction option. Users can exchange goods and services for art without using money, or can pay for the deal if they have no relevant offers at the moment. As about the traction, Fresh or Trash was started in 2020 as a barter bot. Today, we have 4,000 users in 4 countries, and the aim is to create the international barter platform. We launched the MVP in Europe, then scaled to United States and then to Asia. The main thing is the algorithm. It makes the barter deal special, quick, and involving. The team now consists of 7 IT programmers, those who work on back-end and front-end, the data scientist who creates the algorithm and smart contracts, the basis for ongoing customization, and the law advisor. In the first version of the platform, there are 2 main channels of monetization: paid subscription for unlimited number of offers and the commission for the saved deal. There are also fees for the local logistic partners, and with the growth of the targeted audience, there are also contracts with brands, ESG companies, and market influencers. By connecting art buyers and artists, Fresh or Trash supports zero-waste trend. Barter changes today's consumption and production patterns towards a more sustainable future. Barter is the right way for a better lifestyle. So, we invite you, personally, to exchange goods and services for art in an easy and engaging way. Here we're leaving our QR code and our contacts for further communication. Let's barter.
Thank you, Ksenia. Let's barter and let's reply to the questions. Who will be the, good policeman or bad policeman is on the row?
I leave it to you, Rox.
Thank you very much. That's quite an innovative perspective on a very traditional transactional network. I really like it. Could you please describe how you used Telegram to test your theories and hypotheses, and what was the result?
Of course, the Telegram is a messenger that allows forming the sets of algorithms for social networking users. And it was a proof of concept for us in 4 countries. And today, with the users in the bot, we make them our users for the further application, because we made the surveys with them, we made the questions and open talks with them, and we understand the user's experience. And it helped us very much to take the real feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's great. I love the name also. It's very bold. Fresh or Trash, I think. It makes you it spikes the curiosity. It's like, what is that about? So that's great. Kudos to you guys. Sounds good. Denis?
Thank you.
Well, I have one question I haven't asked Ksenia before, during the mentorship process, but I wonder, maybe it's not the best time to ask such a question, but in between art and goods, what is fresh or what is trash? How do you define that?
I say that the user decides, actually.
Good.
Great answer. Great
Good.
answer.
Yeah.
The user and but before the user, the investor would decide. I should admit, but I believe it's attractive. It's attractive. Thank you, Ksenia.
Thank you.
So I mentioned Anders Pettersson several minutes ago. 1 year ago, he made a brilliant panel, brilliant webinar regarding Gen Zs, and he circled out the 4 habits of Gen Zs. So the most important habit was gamification and control over gamification. So the fourth the fourth startup represents gamification plus the art market. And I should admit, it's the only startup of the 4 whose founder, Alina Kryukova, comes from the art world, not tech, not legal, not banking system.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi to everyone.
Let's start.
Okay, thank you so much for amazing discussion and amazing panel. My name is Alina Kryukova. I'm art entrepreneur and collector, founder of Astra Contemporary Art Gallery from Moscow, Russia. So I'm happy to present you our startup called Saturn, a platform for investments in artistic careers, the combination of art investment and gamification. You know that as a result of COVID-19, the players of the art market have changed. A new generation of collectors came from the game industry, Gen Z, and they've got 4 main investment habits. Gen Z want control, support, gamification of investment, and social benefits by showing off their activity. So at the same time, due to the global pandemic, galleries representing the artists lost many older collectors and are looking for new instruments which could help them to involve Gen Z and their investments in the art market. But they don't know how to speak with this new generation of collectors. So we can see that Gen Z investors remain unhappy and the artists remain unsolved. But you can ask me how big their market is. Look, at the game industry, Gen Z spend more than $2 billion on developing their game heroes. And at the same time, galleries spend more than $16 billion on development of their artists. So we've got the solution. Saturn provides a relief to the all art market players, gamifying the investment process. Gen Z can support a real artist, like a game hero, receiving both financial and social profit, and the galleries get a new funding vehicle for their artists. So how does it work? First, the customer picks up the artist from the artistic universe based on his or her current status, including academic and marketing achievements. Then the customer chooses the field of activity of the artist that could be developed from a list of 16 areas of production and promotion. After investment, the customer could track how the funds are spent by the gallery and see the improvements in the career. Of course, during the investment period, the customer received bonuses and awards. It's very important for Gen Z. And finally, the customer can withdraw his funds, converting it into special rates and privileges from the paintings of artists. The more he invests, the more privileges he receives. So how we, Saturn, can monetize it? Our business model is based on gallery subscription for using the platform, of course. And investors pay performance and success fee. It's typical for any classical hedge funds. And if the investor trade their assets on the secondary market inside the platform, we also receive a transaction fee. Later on, we'll add in-house marketing agency and school of art traders as the revenue channels. A little bit about our history. We are starting researching the market in late 2020, and in January 2021, elaborated the idea of Saturn. Our team has created the internal logic of the platform, helped customer discovery inside the galleries and artists, as well as Gen Z as investors. We've also tested our front end, created and started elaborating the indices needed for rating and predicting career development. And when the NFT boom began, we decided to add digital artists to Saturn. This year, 2021, we are planning to receive preceded investment to create MVP, and I need to say that we have already received interest from 50 plus galleries in participating in our platform all around the world, and more than 150 plus sign-ups from the agency side. In 2022, next year, Sardon should be released on App Store and Google Play, and will show our first cash flow. And according to our plans, in 2023, we are to open an online school for art traders, enriching our devoted audience. About people, the core of our team consists of one mono-founder, me, having more than 6 years of experience in the art market and business administration. The tech team includes 3 main positions responsible for front-end, back-end data science and QA indices, and several trendsetters, thanks to all of them of the art market, of the art world, have become our mentors, like Roxanna, thank you, from Christie, and Thomas from Kohen. So, to recap, to sum up all of this, Sardon have 3 main objectives. First, we are creating a new game with the new rules, with a new language for the new era of the art market, because we understand the players from both sides and can speak both Gen Z and galleries languages. Second, we offer unique approach in the art investment strategy based on independent index of career development, including more than 50 market signals validated by the galleries. And finally, we are going to create a new community of professional art players by opening a new school of art traders. So, hope you'll find new opportunities on our platform, and we are looking forward to having you on Sardon. Thank you.
Well done.
Questions? Okay.
Okay.
So the questions.
All right. Maybe I'll go ahead and throw one in if that's all right.
Yes, one of the most successful art startuppers ever.
Okay, so wonderful presentation, by the way. Very well done. Very clean. Loved it. So my only real question is why you've chosen to work with galleries and not to work at all with artists directly?
Oh, Natasha, thank you for this question, because we've got 2 main reasons for this. Because first one is securing our customers, young investors. On international art scene, and you know that artistic careers are managed by the galleries as business entities. And galleries create marketing plans, spreadsheets, operate with the funds and budget, and report to us. So a long-term gallery contract serves as a marker of reliability. And the second reason is, of course, we are trying to reduce our costs. So contemporary gallery have, in average, 22 or 23 artists in their roster. So subscribing only one gallery to Sardon means that we receive in excess to several dozens of artists. And it reduces the cost on legal services and management staff, because it's easier to work with 10 galleries than with 200 or 300 artists at well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alina. I'd like to welcome the rest of the startups. Let's see how many startups could stream the
Apologies in advance if you all hear my son gleefully screaming with laughter out in the hallway.
I think he got excited.
We all have babies here. We all have babies here. The
He was like, startups.
Our founders. So yeah, and they are also screaming. They are also screaming and need attention. So, Katya, what would you say?
Thank you. Yes, I would love to thank all of you guys. I think amazing job. I know everyone was slightly nervous, but I think it went well. Ladies, thanks a lot for all your questions and mentorship. I think it's been super valuable. Denis, wow, you're the rock star also putting all this together. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of respect. Maybe you tell us what's coming next and what should everyone expect?
Well, thank you, Katya. Thank you for your kind words. It was a pleasure to work with you and to continue working with you as well as with our mentors. So we're looking forward to the new year with the new rules, which will be announced quite soon after finalizing the demo day results. And of course, for the 4 representatives for the first startups, namely Arterium, VR, Fresh and Trash, and Saturn, it's just the beginning. Just the beginning of the big life of MVP creation for one startups or for increasing their cash flow for the others. It's the beginning of hopefully investment relations. And thank you. It was a pleasure to work with you, and it was a great opportunity. Thank you for your yes. 1 year ago, when during the pandemic we decided to work together in this combined pandemic business model of private acceleration, which has led to the to what we see now. And thank you again, Roxanna, my honored co-founder and the board member. Thank you, Natasha. It's your turn to finalize in Polish go-to-market strategy of some of the startups, and hope you'll see in a while. Thank you, Katya, for being the investment partner and the lead investor of the investment round, along with some undisclosed representatives from among the art strategists. So regarding, now I'd like to say a few words for the guests of today's demo day. So instead of closing remarks, subscribe to our newsletters. We're trying to create one analytical article regarding art tech or art finance per week. So we also aggregate the art tech news. So for that, you could also subscribe to our news and to our Telegram channel. Telegram tested by Ksenia from Fresh and Trash. So, and we're thinking about the next round, about the next year. Our aim is to pursue the establishment of the art tech dynamic community by keeping in touch, and we look forward to see you during further events by Fuelarts, hopefully during Art Basel this December in Miami. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye.
Cheers to more demo days.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, guys.
Thank you, guys. It was such fun. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you, Denis. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.